Hello there, I'm Teresa Matsura and you're listening to Uncanny Japan. A good portion of choosing topics for this show is all those times I've personally stumbled across something while living in Japan and asked myself what, or why, or how come. If it's something I don't see anyone else talking about, then it's doubly nice because maybe someone else is asking the same questions and not finding answers either. And this could solve a mystery for both of us. Or perhaps it can provide that nice feeling for someone when you learn something you never thought you wanted to know, but once you hear it, you're like, well, isn't that interesting? I need to tell my book club. Okay, that's actually me, but I really wanted to share this one. Today's show has been on the back burner for a while now. It started a couple years ago when a writer who writes about Japan but doesn't live here came to visit once and was posting photos on social media. They posted one of a little stone statue by the side of the road and explained to their tens of thousands of followers that it was an ojizo. Then they went on to talk about ojizo statues and how they protect children and stuff like that. But it wasn't an ojizo statue. Not exactly, anyway. I knew the name of the statue because I'd heard it or read it somewhere, but I didn't know anything else about it. So I looked it up, just now, 3 or 4 years later. Today let's talk about Dōsojin. Would you like to explore the stranger, more obscure corners of Japanese culture? Dig a little deeper into superstitions, curious customs, and all those mysterious creatures that inhabit the land? If so, then this is the podcast for you. Uncanny Japan is where I, author Teresa Matsura, share all the fascinating tidbits I unearth while doing research for my writing. From the bizarre to the ghastly, and everything in between. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey, rainy season and super early typhoon season here. Did I tell you that the rice farmer behind my house is going to sell off a big chunk of his land? They're going to build an entire neighborhood with roads going in and out and houses and people. It's even more depressing because all these little frogs will be paved over and my daily sunset behind the rice field is going to now be the back of someone's house. 15 lots and houses. And did I mention people? Right now I have only 2 neighbors and I think we're fine with that. So that's got me down. If there is one tiny ray of light, it's that I got the news last month or a little bit before, and I thought that they'd start building right away. I kept my eye on the farmer's house and I noticed he plowed his fields as usual. Then he flooded them a few days later. Then a week after that, he planted rice seedlings. So house building won't start until the earliest this fall, I assume. All these frogs you're hearing now are real frogs, alive and Genki, and serenading us for one more season. I'm going to record them throughout the summer and fall, for as long as possible. Then I'm going to save as many as I can in buckets before the trucks roll in. I'm calling it Operation Pompoko. And just like the movie, it should end well. Okay, on to today's show. One thing I find infinitely fun about Japan is how you can be walking along almost anywhere and unexpectedly come across some worn statue, usually under a rickety wooden, open-in-the-front, roofed shelter. Often you'll find a container or two for flowers. Sometimes there will be fresh-cut carnations or wildflowers. Maybe they're all dried up. They could be dirty plastic flowers, or the vases could be completely empty. You can also find objects people leave by the statue. These can be some lost item someone's dropped, a single glove, a small toy, a bike key, that a passerby has picked up and placed there to hopefully be found later. Or more likely, there's a humble offering to the deity residing in the stone, a can of tea or coffee, pieces of fruit, a box of unopened poke, a 5-yen coin. When I come across one, I always stop to look at the statue, say hi, and I wonder what it is and why it's there. How long has it been there? And who put it there? If it's well cared for, then who's still tending it? If it looks lonely and abandoned, and there are wildflowers nearby, I'll pick some and put them in the little vases. Sweep away any gross cobwebs that might be there with a stick, unless there's a happy-looking spider and it can stay. Every statue has its own kami, god or spirit, so they are all unique, and recently I've been really interested in the different types. We've talked about ojizo in episode 26 and 27, and I talked about rakan on a Patreon post back in November 2022. Rakan are arhat statues, actual depictions of the disciples of the Buddha, or high-level and or enlightened monks. So they are much more expressive than the calm ojizo we so often see. They can be laughing, scowling, whispering into the ear of a nearby statue, or holding a pet cat, enjoying some sake even. Rakan statues have personality. I really like them. But there's another category that I'm going to talk about today, and that's Dōsojin, also called Dōsojin, or Dōrokujin. The word Dōsojin means road ancestor deity, or god. They're not exactly ojizo, but there's some overlap that we so often see, and even Japanese people sometimes mix them up. But Dōsojin are old, like really old. A lot of times the poor statues can be so worn you can barely see what's been carved into them. One scholar I was listening to said that they easily date back to the Jomon era. So this is not only pre-Buddhism in Japan, this is before the Common Era. So there's one big difference. Ojizo are from the Buddhist tradition. Dōsojin are all Shinto. You can think of Dōsojin as also the original protector of travelers. After ojizo were introduced later, they kind of took over, or helped, I guess. They didn't completely take over, because Dōsojin are still prayed to, and there are still festivals celebrating them. More on that in a minute. So you get the idea of how things start to merge into each other over time. The earliest Dōsojin were just curiously shaped or powerful stones, thought to contain a kami, or god, or spirit, and they were set in special places. Let's talk about these special places. Remember when we talked about Ikai, the spirit world, or other world, or it could be the underworld? Actually, I just read an interesting definition in Japanese that said, the Ikai is the world outside the world that humans are able to perceive. Well, these Dōsojin were positioned in places that indicated a border or boundary between this world and the Ikai, that other side. Like the entrance to a village, separating that big spooky forest and outside world from the small community within. The world we know is safe, the not easily perceivable one needs to be kept at bay. You can also find Dōsojin statues at crossroads, a fork in the road, on a mountain pass, near bridges, or on corners. Very similar to where yokai appear too, come to think of it. Anyway, they were believed to protect villages, travelers, and even people who were in transitional stages of their lives from evil things and also from disease. Remember smallpox, cholera, the measles, and how they could just sweep into town and ravage it. So Dōsojin were put up, prayed to, and taken care of. Please keep that god of pox away. When I run across one these days, it's actually in such a random place. I like to think about what boundary was there hundreds upon hundreds of years ago. Did this used to be a crossroads, entrance to a town? What has this little buddy seen? Speaking of running across one, how can you tell if you've got yourself an ojizo or a Dōsojin? Actually, I really want to learn more about this statuary, so I'm by no means an expert, but what I have learned is that very often you'll find Dōsojin are in pairs, a male and a female figure. Many are very endearing. They're holding hands, or they're hugging, or they're kissing. Some are a little friskier, engaging in the actual act of getting it on, or you'll even have the ones that forego all polite facade, and you'll just find an enormous stone phallus under a roof. Which brings me to the next thing. Dōsojin wear a lot of hats, and are also tied with fertility, marital harmony, and childbirth. Old folk beliefs said, and I'm quoting from a Japanese text on various Japanese gods, quote, male and female reproductive organs were a source of magical power and repelled calamity. In other words, they were lucky, end quote. As anyone who has bought one of those interestingly shaped keychains sold in gift shops everywhere in Japan can attest, quoting again, the phallus was believed to regenerate the spirits of the crops, bring about abundant harvests, and encourage the vitality that naturally ushers in many descendants. So there. Basically, there are different types of these Dōsojin statues. A single image, a couple, sometimes just a few words or an entire Buddhist sutra carved into the stone, which shows you again the overlap of Shinto and Buddhism. And then there's the genitalia. Akita Prefecture has a really awesome looking Dōsojin called Ningyo Dōsojin. Ningyo means doll. Instead of the usual small worn down stone statues, these are built out of wood or straw and they're gigantic. One day I'm going to see them. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the blending that has happened along the years. I already mentioned the ojizo, which came later, but adopted similar traits. Protection for travelers, taking care of children. But another is Sae no Kami, or Sai no Kami. Sae no Kami was talked about in the Kojiki, 712. Izanagi no Mikoto, despite being told not to, visited his wife in the realm of the dead, Yomi no Kuni. But he was chased away by a demoness named Yomo Tsushikome. In order to stop her, he chucked a stick in her direction. From this stick, Sae no Kami was born, thus becoming the kami that stops evil and bad spirits from crossing from the underworld into this one, a protector of boundaries. Back in the day, Sae no Kami was represented by a large rock placed on those borders between this world and the other, which sounds a lot like Dōsojin. So they started out separate, but kind of represented the same thing, and they merged. Sae no Kami is considered a Dōsojin, although technically probably not. My favorite, though, is probably Bato Carnal. Where I live now has quite a bit of open land and rice fields, and more than a few of these Dōsojin. But I keep running into Carnal statues wearing horses' heads on top of their own heads. They're very old, and sometimes it's hard to tell. For a while there, I thought I was going bonkers. Then I found Bato Carnal. Bato literally means horse head. This deity, of course, comes from China, then further back to Indian culture, but it's also found in Tibetan Buddhism, and the myth is just wild. You have a certain god, Hayagriva, meaning having the neck of a horse, who has a dance battle with the powerful and fierce Rudra. This ends with Hayagriva transforming very tiny, sneaking into Rudra's backside, transforming once more, this time into a giant, thus exploding Rudra from the inside out. Then, when you think it can't get any better, Rudra, who is somehow still capable of speech, promises to become a protector of the Dharma, so Hayagriva goes around wearing his body as a suit and his horse's head sticking out top proudly. In Japan, the story is a little more tame. The horsehead Kanon, or Hayagriva, is one of the 6 Avalokitesvaras, whose purpose it is to save all sentient beings from the 6 realms of existence. Hayagriva was also worshipped as the guardian deity of horses, and all animals really, because she, or he, is the protector of the realm of animals. There are also some neat festivals that still celebrate Dōsojin, and they seem to take place in early January. The one in Nagano Prefecture at the Nozawa Onsen is epic. It's a fire festival, the main event taking place on January 15th. The day before is spent building a huge makeshift shrine out of wood and straw. Then, on the night of January 15th, men aged 25 and 42, those unlucky years, guard the shrine while chanting, "Bring on the fire!" Everyone else participating has flaming bundled reed torches of various sizes, and after some drinks, they take this jesting seriously, and they start attacking, trying to burn the homemade shrine down. It's brutal. These 25 and 42-year-olds put up a good defense, but the whole thing eventually does get set alight around 10 p.m. and burns throughout the night. The next morning, in a much calmer mood, everyone gathers again to roast mochi rice cakes on the smoldering remains, which ensures a new year of good health. This fire festival is true to Dōsojin's roots and celebrates childbirth, rids you and yours of evil spirits, and guarantees a peaceful marriage. There are YouTube videos. Look for Nagano and Nozawa Onsen Fire Festival. It's wild. Okay, I need to get back to writing. Everyone take good care, and I will talk to you in 2 weeks, which is also exactly the deadline for this book project I'm working on. So wish me luck. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye. You've reached the end of the show, and I just want you to know how much we appreciate you listening and supporting us. Any subscribing, reviewing, and gushing to your friends, family, even random strangers really does help keep us going. If you have the means and you want to help a little more and get a little more, we are making extra content over on Patreon, all for only $5 a month. Or, if you like to read horror, you might be interested in my Bram Stoker-nominated short story collection, The Carp-Faced Boy and Other Tales. 本当にありがとうございます. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you real soon.